there are so many ways you can use the roller to iron out different parts of your body and to get a bit of fascia release. And I'm just going to go through a few of my favorites. We'll start with a little glute massage. So you can start with your knees together. They can stay together the whole time if you like. Otherwise, we're going to try and bring this one leg over the top, and whichever leg went onto the top, that's the way you're going to tip. So my right leg is on the top, I'm tipping to the right. And you're just going to massage through that whole glute area, which goes all the way up to that back hip bone, all the way around into the sacrum, down to your sitting bone and around to the side. You can go around in circles, you can go up and down, you can go side to side. You can play around with this leg position also. It can change the angle of your leg in that hip joint, which is going to get into the hip rotators a little differently by putting the foot on your knee. So you can change this leg and try and relax it as much as you can. If you find a spot that's a little bit tight, you can stay there and see if you can move the leg. You can move it this way or you can lift it up and down. So you're trying to move that leg in the hip socket, but try and relax as much as you can. You can move a little further around now. So we're going to put this foot on the floor and I'm going to keep moving around until I get into this spot. I'm going to rest on my elbow, into this spot which is above or below my hip bone but above the thigh bone. Right, so there's a little gap there between the hip bone and that greater trochanter, which is the top of my thigh bone. And I'm just going to rest into that position there. Okay, so you can rest on your elbow or you can rest on your arm. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the other foot for balance. You're going to lift this leg up and then down. And you're going to lift and down. So it's a little bit of a thigh exercise, but it's a little bit of a release up through those muscles in the hip there. And then we're going to take this leg, we're going to lift it, and we're going to kick it back. It's a little push back, not a big kick, it's just going to move. And it can be bent or it can be straight, but try not to tighten too much. And just a few, 5, 6, 7, 8. That'll do. And you can come down. And we're going to take that to the other side. So I will turn my roller around. And so I'm going to sit on the roller. You bring the other leg on the top, or not crossed if you prefer, and you're rolling onto that side. And then you're rolling all through that whole glute area, so all the way from here, all the way around to the sacrum, down to the tail, sitting bones, and up to the back of the pelvis. And again, you can change the foot position if you like, go a little bit more to the side. And again, if you find a spot that feels a bit tight, you want to just stop on that, so you can keep moving if you want. You can stop on that point and just get that leg to move a little bit. See if you can just feel it's nice and loose in the hip joint. And if you feel like you can, take it on and off a few times. Create a little bit more weight down into there. All right, and then we're going to put it onto the floor. You can spend longer on any of these positions if you like. We're going to move around right into, and adjust yourself if you need, that behind or between the hip bone and the top of the thigh. So I'm not forward too much, although you might find a little bit of a lean forward is going to be a better spot for you. So I'm not all the way forward, but I want to be as sideways as I can. Yep. And again, use that top foot for balance, use this bottom arm, rest on your elbow if you need to, and then you're going to lift and lower. You might find one side is harder than the other, tighter. Try and relax as much as you can. If you're tensing, you're not going to allow those muscles to release. You're going to feel like the marshmallow melt over the roller. And then take it behind you, so you're going to get a little push. So you're feeling that you're moving that leg, so it's getting that movement of the muscle on the roller, or the fascia on the roller. And just keep breathing, don't forget to breathe. Okay. Coming down. Just check that out, see how that feels. And we're going to lie on the roller, putting it about in the bottom of your rib cage area. So we're going to massage up through the rib area here. So I like to clasp my hands to feel that I've got a nice strong support for my head. We're not going to arch back on this one. We're going to stay either looking forward up to the ceiling. So I'm trying to stay quite flat across the back of my ribs. Now, ideally we want to lift the hips up, and we're just going to roll, and you can move your feet if you need to. So if you feel like you need to move the feet, rolling into that bottom of the ribs. Just keep breathing so you feel that the ribs are opening and closing. Move a little here so I'm not hiding my face. And I'm going to roll up and down, and I don't want to let my back arch there. So I'm going to keep a little bit of a lift. If you feel like you need to sort of slide along the floor because that feels more supported for you, that's also fine. So just make sure that you're staying really long and supported through your back and your core there. Alright, so we're just going to go more to one side. So I'm going to go on this is my left side. I'm going to move more onto that side of my back. So I'm rolling down through that side of the rib. This is one of my favourite parts of the foam roller class, with ironing out my back. So I hope you love this part too. So we just want to make sure that we are supporting ourselves, so we don't want to sag into this. So I like to clasp my hands so it supports my head. And then I'm going to bring my elbows forward a little bit. I'm going to lift my hips, but you can stay sliding along the floor if you like. So if you lift your hips, you're putting a little bit more weight into the roller. And you're just going to use your feet to push, and you can even walk them if you need to. And just going to roll right up through the ribs. So if you arch back, you'll find you get more onto the outside, which we're going to do anyway. So if you can slightly curl forward, you'll find you stay a bit flatter across between your shoulder blades and your ribs and your spine, and that will give you a little bit more of that ironing out through that whole back area. You can go right up onto the top of your shoulders there, don't go onto your neck, but by lifting your hips, you put a bit more weight up into that upper part of your back. And we're going to move on to one side. So I'm going to move, this is my left side, I'm going to move up into that left side of my back. You can go a little bit lower into that lower back again, as long as you feel like you're just working into those muscles just on the side of your spine, and it's your deep back muscles. We're getting a little into the QL, which goes between the ribs and the pelvis. If that's not comfortable for you, then stay on the ribs. If you can just get right into there. If you need to put a hand down or rest on your elbow, that's fine too. And then you're going to roll more up through the ribs. So I'm going up through the side of my back, through my rib cage area, and then I'm going to roll back down just to the bottom of my ribs now. And I'm going to do that one more time. And then we're going to continue a little bit further over. So again, you can stop at the bottom of the shoulder blade, or go up into the top of the shoulder, and then use your legs and support your head and roll a little bit more. So going into that, sort of, not quite the side, outside edge of my back there. And I'm rolling. I might not go quite as low when I'm here. I'm going more into that, to the bottom of my lats there. And I'm going to roll. Oh, I might be a little bit tight. You can get more up into the shoulder, or you can stay just up into that shoulder blade area if you feel okay with it, going a little higher. And I'm going to go a little bit further again, rolling up into that outside edge there. So it's rolling right up through that outside edge of the shoulder blade. If you're not finding that, just come into the armpit area, roll forward, and then tip back until you find it. If you're not finding that, roll right forward into your armpit and then tip back until you find the outside edge of your shoulder blade, and then you can roll up and down through it. It can be a little tender sometimes, so just be aware. And if you want to stop on any point and just stay and breathe into that, you can. But, keep breathing anyway. And we're just going to stay here into the armpit area. You can keep your knees bent, or you can cross them if you need to. But we're just going to allow your chest to roll forward as you're rolling into the armpit area. You can keep the hands behind the head and then roll back and open up through your chest. And just feel this stretch from elbow or through your chest all the way to the other side. You can keep the arm behind your head, or you can add a little bit more stretch by reaching that long arm forward and then coming back. I like to keep my hands supporting my head. If you want to change that, you can, but I think you'll find it's a better height coming up. And watch the shoulder doesn't come forward, so open up through your chest. So you're going to push your chest a little more to the ceiling as you open up. Support your head as much as you need. And just do that again. You can come forward, you can open up, or you can take it into a circle around, all the way around. So you can just keep the elbow behind the head. You can do the long arm just opening and closing, or you can create the big circle if that's okay on your shoulders. When you get to here, turn your palm so you open through the shoulder. And then coming all the way back around, and we'll repeat that all on the other side. So, just moving my roller. So starting now, we're going to roll up and down through that side, getting a little bit more into that lower back. So support your head as much as you need. But at the moment, we're getting into that deep back muscle. So just either at the, not on your spine, but into the waist. And you're just getting into those muscles there. If that's not comfortable for you, let's start to move straight up into the rib cage area. Try and relax if you can, and breathe. And then moving up through the ribs, support your head now. And so you're rolling up through that upper back there, from the bottom of the ribs, up through the shoulder blade, and then we'll move a little bit more to the side. As you do this, you might find you don't want to go as low. So we're going to keep it a little bit smaller range, just to that bottom of the shoulder blade, and then up to the top of it, and then a little bit further around, so we're into the side. So into those lats, into those serratus anterior muscles at the side there, and we're going to roll up into the armpit. Again, if you can't find that muscle, the muscles that are on the outside edge of the shoulder blade, stop here, get into that armpit, roll back. You'll probably find that then. And then roll up and down through the outside edge of the shoulder blade. Support your head as much as you need. And then we're going to come into that armpit area again, and we're going to fold forward. We'll start with the elbow bend, folding forward. If this is enough for you, let your head rest in your hand and stay there. And try and feel long through that top side, opening through your chest, keep your chin lifted, and open up. Stay with that if you need to, otherwise you add the extra arm reach. So you curl forward, and you're looking at the floor, and we're going to open up. Make sure you're not just moving from your hand, you're opening the shoulder, you're opening that whole chest. Keep your head supported as much as you need. Open it up, have a big yawn. Yawn if it helps. And then you can stay with that, just opening and closing, or you create a big circle. Palm is down, it turns, and I open my shoulder up. And then I'm going to go again. So I'm rolling around on that outside edge of my shoulder blade into the back of it as I create this lovely opening through my chest. And one more. We're moving into some quad massage, which I actually quite like. You might find can be quite intense. So I'm going to give you a few options. We're starting with the roller rolling right down through the front of the thighs. So going from the hips all the way through to the knee. So make sure that you're feeling quite supported. So you don't want to sag. We're going to keep lifting through the tummy. Use your arms. So as if you're going to do a bit of a plank, but you don't have to engage quite as much. Just keep that little bit of lift and watch your shoulders, because we've massaged them out quite nicely. We don't want to create some tension there. And you can commando pull. And your feet can come off the floor, or they can stay down if you feel like you need extra support. Okay? So we're going to roll up or down to the knees, and then we're going to roll back up to the top of the thighs. All right. So we want to put a little bit more weight onto one leg, because there's 4 muscles, so quad, 4 muscles. So we want to make 4 lines through the front of the leg. So to do this, you can just roll onto one leg and take the other one off. So you've got that still resting on the floor for a bit of support there. Create more weight on that leg, you can cross this one over and take your feet off the floor. So just go with wherever you feel you can go. We're going to go and create 4 lines. So I'm going to go into that outside edge of my leg. I'm going to do it with my feet off the floor, my other leg crossed over. I'm going to the outside, I'm going to say front corner of my thigh, and I'm going to use my arms. So if you need your feet to help you, then do that. And I'm rolling right down to the knee, and then, whoa, that's a tight one, rolling back up to the hip. So if that's too much of the leg there, rest it on the floor, and you can use that to give a bit more balance and a bit more push. And you still probably find it's reasonably strong, because your weight is right down onto that leg. So just rolling a little bit more to the front now. So that's going to be my second line. And then I'm going to roll a little bit more to the front again. I'm just going to put this foot on the floor for balance now. I'm going to roll a little bit more to the front of my thigh. So I've created my third line, and then I'm going to turn a little bit more to the other side, so I can get more to that inner front of the thigh. So the medial, so closer to the middle of my body. And I want to get right into that top of my knee there. So I'm getting into that muscle. It's called your vastus do the other side. So again, you can go more, just bring the weight over, keeping the other leg on the floor. So that's your first option, but we're moving to the outside line of the leg. So the front still, but the outside corner. Outside corner, if your legs were square, which they're not, obviously. And then we're going to put the other leg on if you want to add that little bit more weight. And then try that second line. So a little bit more to the front. Up and down, all the way to the knee. All the way up to the thigh. Watch your back doesn't sag, so keep lifting and use your arms, use your legs as much as you need. Put that foot on the floor if you need to. And then you're going to try line number 3. So a little bit more, probably feel more to the very front of the thigh. So it's coming a little bit more across to the center of the body. And then we're going to keep turning, and I'm going to turn and face all the way around so I can get into that, more into that center corner of my thigh. Again, if my thighs were square, it would be the corner of that front bend. And I'm going to get right down just above that knee. Yeah, there. So I'm going to get above my knee into my VMO, which can get quite, well, actually it can be quite weak, but it can actually be quite tight. So it's one of those muscles that goes quite quickly if there's a knee injury. So it's important to keep it strong. And that's another lesson altogether. We're going to take a quad stretch now. So if you have knee issues, this may not suit your body, okay? Because there's going to be a lot of flexion in the knee. So if you know that there's something wrong with your knee, or you've had surgery, or you have issues with your knee where you can't create that full flexion in your knee, then please avoid this exercise, or if there's any pain there, we definitely don't want that. So, a couple of variations though. As we go into this, I'll take it in a few levels, and as always, just stick with the level that is appropriate for you, or aim to work towards something a bit more advanced. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one foot and bring it underneath us. So if you get a little cramp in your feet at all, you might find a little rolled up towel, or even just like a pair of socks under your ankle will help to change, to allow you to relax that ankle and not get any cramps in your feet. And we're going to add a little lean back. If you feel like you need little yoga blocks here, you may find that that will help you as well. I'm just going to start to lean back, and I want to bring my fingers forward and just bend my elbows, so that way I'm not letting my shoulders come forward. I'm going to stay there. If that's enough for you, stay there. If you can, push your hips up. So we're actually off the roller now. For some of you, that might be enough. Watch you not letting your bottom drop down. So what we're trying to do is get rid of this crease at the front of the hips, so we're creating leg. Okay, so let's lower the hips down. And if you can, we're going to start to lean back a little further, pushing that pubic bone to the ceiling. And again, this might be enough for you. You can bring your arms wider if you need. Yep, that's enough for you. Stay there. So I'm going to try and tuck my hips under, reach my knee. I'm not just trying to bend it here. I'm trying to push long through that front of my thigh. So I'm trying to create that leg. If you can, we're going to slide lower down. So find a spot. You might find this is enough. Watch those shoulders again. This might be enough for you. You may find putting a little cushion here as your pillow, so that you can move to a position where you feel like you can relax onto that pillow. Will work better for you than trying to hold yourself with your arms. And we're going to roll back down, all the way down if you can. And if you feel like your back wants to tuck under and your knee has come up and we've lost that extension through the hip, I want you to think about reaching your knee again away from you and then tucking that towel under. It's not going to flatten the back, but it's that feeling like you want to flatten the back and you want to lengthen through this front of the hip. So I don't want to just think about my knee. I want to think of bending. I want to think about this leg from your waist all the way through the front of the thigh into the inner thigh, and then see if you can pull your ribs down, and if you want to add more, you stretch the arm overhead. Same arm as the leg you're stretching. And just breathe in that position. Try to feel long. Even if you feel like you add a little bit of almost a side bend, that's okay. We're going for that lengthening. And then watch those ribs don't poke up. So see if you can breathe out and draw them down. If that's too much with the arm overhead, bring it back. If it's too much laying down, or you need a cushion under your back, so you might find that raising yourself up, then go back to the position that is the best stretch without being able to lose that back extension, or without being able to lose that hip extension. And then we're going to come out of it. So you can either make your way up. I think the easiest way though is to bend the leg and unfold it. If you need to roll on your side or come up to sitting, otherwise you can. Let's take the second side. So tuck that knee underneath you, and then you're going to roll back. So again, we can start with a small one, and we're going to push that knee down. We're just going to try and push the pubic bone to the ceiling. If that's enough for you, stay there. Otherwise, you're going to try and push the hips up. Obviously, more weight on the arms, so we'll just hold that for a few breaths. Now think not just down to the floor, but forward with that knee. And then lowering back down. And again, if you want to stay with one of those, just lean back a little bit more into your arms. You can do that, pushing that pubic bone forward. If you can, laying further back. Grab your cushion if you need, or your pillow. And then you're rolling back down, stopping either here, with your arms resting, watch the shoulders, or with your cushion, or you can come all the way down to the roller. Watch those backs don't arch too much, so you're going to try and tuck the tail right under. So really thinking about pubic bone to the ceiling, long through that waist. Even feel extra stretch through this whole side. Feel like this side is longer than the other side. Yawn if it helps. I find sometimes just putting my arm over my head makes me want to yawn. That's good, opens up my ribs anyway. So watch that ribs are popping up, so see if you can, I want to open them in every direction, not just forward. And I want to feel that stretch through my side. I'm thinking about opening up through my side, even if you feel like there's almost like a little side bend. Reaching that thigh, not just pushing the knee to the floor, but reaching from my waist through my thigh, all the way to my knee. Make sure that's feeling okay on your knees. Add a little bit of extra push through your foot, rather than just trying to pull your foot towards your bottom. And then just unwind out of that. And we're going to do a little back roll out. So if you're not lying down on the roller, make your way down to there now. And we're going to bring our feet nice and wide, just for balance. And we're going to cross over. Now, if you have long hair, just watch out here because it can get a little bit caught underneath. So you're going to just cross your hands over your chest to start with. And we're just going to roll side to side. You can give yourself a nice big hug. And you're going to roll over those back extensor muscles through the muscles in your rhomboids there between the ribs and the shoulder blades. So all across the back there. And you can roll right into that outside edge of the shoulder there, onto the shoulder blade. Yep, so we'll start with that and we'll add on a little bit. So this might be enough for you. You might even just find just moving between the spine and the shoulder blade is enough. If you can, you add an extra roll. Good. You can have your arms here or you can bring them up to the ceiling. So you're sort of adding a little bit more weight there, which will help you to counterbalance as you go over. So find which is going to give you that best massage there as well. You probably change it slightly, so you might just find that you want to do a little bit of both. Okay, so we're going to add on a bit. We're going to tuck the hips under and lift. Doesn't have to be high, just a small lift. So the weight's going to go a little bit higher into your back. And again, you can just move there. Watch you not letting your bum stick out. So squeeze those glutes, tummies in, and just so you get that lift. So you can start small, or you can lift higher. And again, you can make it bigger just because you don't fall off the roller. So use your arms for balance if you need. So we're getting a little bit higher up into that shoulder area. Just really make sure that this is feeling good and that it's not, there should be no pain. You want to feel like you're ironing out all those little tight muscles. And you can stop on one and move a little bit there, or you might find that staying on there and just giving your shoulder a little roll. Yeah, so let's go to the other side. Find a spot that feels a bit tight. So watch those bottoms. Tuck your hips under. Stay on that spot that feels a bit tight. And just give your shoulder a little roll, a little shrug. Move the arm around. So you're moving the muscles around rather than you moving the roller. And then coming all the way down. And then you can just roll off carefully and just have a moment on the floor. This is just like a cat stretch, which you can do on your hands and knees if you prefer. Otherwise, what we're doing is we're just going to stretch the roller forward. I'm just going to reach back through my sitting bones. I'm trying to make a nice long line from my fingertips and my head all the way through to my sitting bones. And then exhaling, tuck the tail under, curve, 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 curve. And really tuck that tail, scoop the tummy, lift up under your ribs, and get a nice big stretch. And again, reach through those little fingers so we think of that stretch through the side of the body. And then you're going to inhale, lengthening all the way out from the top of the head, all the way. So try not to drop. Go for length for this one at the moment. Lengthening, and then exhaling, drawing up under the ribs. Scooping the tummy in. Reach those little fingers, and then inhaling to lengthen all the way out. And we can add a little bit of a twist here. So we change our hands to one side of the roller, and we push forward. Taking a nice big breath in, and then exhaling, tuck the tail under, curve, 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 curve. Reach through this long side that we're twisting away from. And then stretch it all the way out. And change your hand position to the other side. You can put your hands on your wrists, whatever's better for you. Pushing forward, pulling back to the opposite hip. And then exhaling, curling, 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 curling. And then stretching all the way out. And then just bringing that all the way back in again. So we're just going to take a little stretch back over the roller. And we want to have it around the bottom of the shoulder blades, sort of bra strap area again, towards the bottom of the ribs. Your hands can go behind your head and just clasp them nice and strongly. You can even bring the elbows slightly forward if you need. And then just allow yourself to start to lengthen. So I'm lifting through my sternum and allowing my head to drop back into my hands. If that's enough for you, you can stay there. If you need to bring the elbows in, you can. If you feel okay with going a little bit further back, you can allow your head to come to the floor. You may find you want a little cushion there. That's okay. You can either keep your hands there, or you have a few other options. You can bring them over your chest. You could stretch them out over your head if that feels okay. Just watch the shoulders. You might find turning the palms to each other stops those shoulders from rounding. So just get that feeling of lengthening. If you feel okay with that, stretch the legs out. So just go to a position that feels like a stretch for you. Should not be any pain. And just try and focus on that lengthening and lifting. If you're on the half roller, this won't be quite so lifted off the floor. And if you're feeling uncomfortable at all, just please come out of this. Alright, when you're ready to come up, you can put your hands behind your head and then use your abdominals, curling yourself up. So those are just a couple of my favourite regular massages that I do on the roller. There's quite a lot more that we can do, and maybe I'll save those for another time. Let me know how you went with those. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and let me know which are your favourites or how much difference it made rolling out your body